What is Ethereum and how is it different from Bitcoin?
Explain to me why this technology is so transformational that people think it'll change the world.
We still don't know who Satoshi Nakamoto is, whether that's even a single person or a group of people. Is crypto the future or is it a fad? Jamie Dimon, Warren Buffett, are they just wrong?
Vitalik Buterin, a Russian-Canadian computer programmer, is one of the Ethereum founders. His beginnings in the crypto world, from co-founding Bitcoin magazine to founding the second largest cryptocurrency, Ethereum, have had a long journey from which we can learn a lot. Vitalik's fortune today is estimated at over $1.5 billion. What is Ethereum? How was Ethereum created? What is its function and the difference compared to Bitcoin? What are the biggest problems of Ethereum that are currently being solved? And what are Ethereum plans for next 5, 10 and 50 years? Find out in this video.
What is Ethereum and how is it different from Bitcoin?
So Bitcoin is a blockchain that's designed for one application, right? Which is maintaining and letting people use Bitcoin, the currency. Ethereum is a general purpose blockchain. So instead of being a blockchain that's designed for one application, Ethereum is a blockchain that supports a built-in programming language, and whatever blockchain application you want to build, you can just write the logic of that application in the programming language, upload that program to the chain, and this becomes what we call a smart contract. And anyone can then interact with your application, and the blockchain interprets the rules of your application for you. So instead of being something that's designed to do one thing, it's designed to open up space for creativity to basically let people do whatever thing that they want to do on top of it.
We're going to talk about Ethereum, but I want to start first with how you got here. You were born in Russia, you emigrated to Canada with your parents when you were just 6 years old, and you started learning about Bitcoin from your father. What is it about Bitcoin that hooked you both?
Bitcoin is really interesting because of how interdisciplinary it is. I was very interested in math and computer programming and cryptography and technology. I was also very interested in economics and kind of politics and philosophy. And Bitcoin just happens to be this interesting fusion of all of these things, right? And at the same time, it's not just a piece of code that's there for fun. It's not even just an app. It's something that's really intended to have a very big and meaningful impact on how the world works. And so I think just having both of those aspects together definitely made Bitcoin very interesting. What started happening then was people started thinking, well, we have Bitcoin, what next, right? So what else can you do with blockchains? What would Bitcoin 2.0 or cryptocurrency 2.0 look like?
Hearing you talk about recreating a financial system, there's something sort of utopian about it, isn't there? Get rid of all the old stuff and create something totally from scratch.
No, it wasn't about kind of overthrowing anything. It was more just the idea that before kind of finance and lots of other things seemed like there were all these people way up there that were just doing these things, and without them, there's no way any of this could happen. And here, it just made it very obvious that money is just something that a community can make for itself whenever it wants. We know what decentralized networks are. I'm sure you've heard of BitTorrent and all the various file sharing networks, all the various decentralized messaging systems. There was this group of cypherpunks that thought, okay, you can do all of those things in a decentralized way, but why can't we do decentralized cash? For example, if I have, some song and I want to send you the song over a decentralized network, I do this, and that's fine. I have the song, you have the song. Money is fundamentally different because money requires some notion of memory. So I have $100 digital. I send you the $100 digital. Then I make another transaction, which looks exactly like that first transaction, except the only difference is it sends someone else the $100 digital. I published both transactions at the same time. Clearly, both of those transactions cannot succeed. You have to have some mechanism that keeps track of the fact that I sent you these $100, and so that after I send the first transaction, the system knows that I no longer have the money, and so the second transaction fails.
So the crypto skeptics, many people that are admired in the financial world, Jamie Dimon, Warren Buffett, are they just wrong?
A lot of them have definitely been just wrong already, right? They expected even back in 2013 to 15, at least some of them, to see blockchains and cryptocurrency fail and go down to zero in price, just not get any more interest completely. And even today, they've already been far more successful than any of them expected. So I can see how people in traditional finance, or at least some of them, can be inclined to kind of not see the value of blockchain-based finance immediately. There's a lot of people, even in traditional banks, that see the value that blockchains provide and have been trying to come up with things and work with them.
Can you contrast proof of stake with proof of work? Why do you think that's so much better?
The reason why blockchains need to have proof of something, right, is because these are decentralized systems. So for example, in proof of work, the system actually measures how much computing power is being put into each block. And so in order for an attacker to take over the network, they actually have to have more computing power than the rest of the network combined, right? So you can't just spin up a billion virtual machines on one computer, but the problem is that it requires a huge number of computers to be constantly running 24/7. So it works, but it's very expensive. Proof of stake, it works differently, right? So proof of stake works by instead using coins as the economic resource. So if you have coins inside of the system, then you just sign messages with those coins. And for an attacker to take over, they have to basically have more coins than the rest of the network put together. So it does the same thing, but it avoids the need to have these computers running 24/7, and that's where the efficiency comes.
Right now, it is mostly finance apps that are built on Ethereum, aside from NFTs. And I'm wondering, what is the killer app for Ethereum that could lead to widespread adoption, much like email was for the internet?
I think there's a few candidates. DeFi is obviously one of them. I think the blockchain-based financial things have always been attractive because the traditional financial system just sucks more than traditional centralized tech, right? If I send an email to, someone in Guatemala, then they're going to receive it in 1 second. With finance, you can't even say that. A lot of people and companies, even today, just use cryptocurrency to send money internationally. Outside of finance, I think one interesting area where I think blockchains might go. You notice that in order to access your assets in Ethereum, you need to have an account. We're getting to the point where there's a lot of work that's been done on making these accounts very secure. And so instead of just being accounts that hold money, these turn into fully blown profiles, right? And once you have profiles, then you can start doing decentralized social media on top of that. The social and financial things that you can do with that, even working together, is something that I think could be really big.
So is the idea then that the next Facebook or Twitter would not be owned by Jack Dorsey or Mark Zuckerberg, but be built on the blockchain and owned by everyone?
There are multiple projects already trying to do that, and lots of them are based on Ethereum, so yes.
Ethereum has had some growing pains, whether it is high transaction costs, traffic jams, front running. Why do these problems exist?
This is the scalability problem. Everyone's been talking about the scalability problem for at least 5 years now. Basically, it's a simple supply and demand problem, right? If the number of people who want to send transactions goes up, but the amount of space for transactions on chain doesn't go up, then all of these people who want to send transactions are bidding against each other, and only the ones that are willing to pay a really high amount can actually get in. The only way to solve this is to just improve the technology to increase the number of transactions that the system can process. It's why we've been doing just all kinds of incremental improvements to the blockchain clients and the protocol and the code over the last 5 years. Ethereum scalability has increased by about a factor of 5 since the project started. And then there are some problems that are not just scaling problems per se, but they're still technology problems, right? There are problems that have to do with the fact that this entire ecosystem has blown up and gotten big fairly quickly. There's a lot of aspects of it where people are still trying to understand like what is the correct way and what is the safest way to do these things.
And so there's a lot of teams that are working on different approaches at solving this problem too.
Is crypto the future, or is it a fad?
I think it's the future that contains fads, much like the internet was the future and the internet contained fads. There's definitely specific kinds of applications that do get overhyped from time to time, like ICOs back in 2017, and then there's certain kinds of DeFi right now, but at the same time, there's other DeFi projects that really are valuable. There's a combination of both, right? And figuring out which is maybe it's something that's difficult to see ahead of time, and it's something that, we as an ecosystem are going to find out.
So Ethereum in 5 years and 10 years, where is it?
Hopefully running the metaverse, but I guess we'll see how it goes.
You've got a lot of people out there, a lot of people who are trying to understand cryptocurrency, who are placing their bets. What's your prediction for Bitcoin? Does it replace the dollar? Does it exist in 50 years, or is it something else? And then similarly, what's your prediction for Ethereum? Because a lot of investors are choosing to hold both, or one or the other.
I don't expect cryptocurrencies to completely take over the world, but I think they definitely have an important role to play in creating an alternative. And especially, I think having an alternative is even more important, not just for people in kind of wealthy countries where the existing kind of services tend to be stable, but also in many other parts of the world where there just isn't a good fiat currency that people can trust and not just destroy their savings over the next 10 years. And I think in cryptocurrency, cryptocurrencies also, right? They're not a finished product. Like, we are seeing new ones, we are seeing better ones, and I think we have seen a lot of innovation recently in trying to create cryptocurrencies that have less volatility, that can be good, better as medium of exchange. So it's an evolving space.
Explain to me why this technology is so transformational that people think it'll change the world.
Because they represent kind of epochal changes in the options that we have for interacting with each other. With Bitcoin, it's you don't need banks to send money anymore. It's just something that happens directly peer-to-peer. And Ethereum extends that to making digitally enforceable agreements.
That changes whole industries, doesn't it?
And it has the yet, but we'll see.
Do you feel like the destroyer of worlds here? You can essentially eliminate how many jobs by doing that?
Destroyer of jobs, creator of better ones.
Because that's pretty good.